The body cam footage from that afternoon told investigators more than they realized at the time. Officer Coonrod's lens caught every detail as he walked through the Watts home. The camera lingered on Shanann's handbag, sitting on the kitchen island with her wallet still inside. Her keys were there too. For a woman who never went anywhere without her purse, it was a red flag. Her phone was another. It rested on the couch, plugged in as if she had set it down only moments earlier. That phone was her lifeline. Shanann lived through it, texting friends, posting on Facebook, keeping track of her work and her daughters. Leaving without it was impossible. The officer's flashlight cut across the upstairs hallway. The beds were neatly made, but the sheet from the master bed was gone. Chris casually explained that Shanann had stripped it off. His tone was even, his arms folded, as though he were discussing a minor household chore. Nicole's voice cut in sharply. She wouldn't just leave. Not pregnant, not with her girls. The lens captured the tension, Nicole's rising panic, the officer's growing suspicion, and Chris's unsettling calmness. When the group stepped outside, Chris walked over to his neighbor's house. That's where another camera delivered its silent testimony. Nate Trinastick, the neighbor across the street, invited officers inside to view his security system. The footage showed Chris's white truck backing into his driveway at 5:27 a.m. The image was grainy, but the outline of his movements was clear. Back and forth, again and again, carrying something from the house to the truck. As the video played, Chris shifted nervously. His hand went to his head. He paced, spoke quickly, filling the silence with explanations no one had asked for. He said he was loading tools. He said he had an early start. He talked too much, too fast. And when he stepped out of the room, the neighbor leaned into police and whispered, "He's not acting right." That security footage sealed a growing suspicion. Chris's story no longer matched what the cameras had captured. The next day, August 14th, Chris faced a different set of cameras, the ones belonging to news crews stationed outside his home. The story of a missing pregnant woman and 2 children had already gripped Colorado. Standing on his porch, arms crossed tightly across his chest, Chris gave an interview that millions would later dissect. "Shanann, Bella, Celeste, if you're out there, just come back," he said flatly. "If somebody has them, just bring them back. I need to see everybody. This house is not complete without anybody here." The footage aired nationwide. Viewers at home saw what investigators were already sensing. This was not the voice of a man desperate to find his family. His eyes wandered, his arms stayed folded, his tone was detached. Instead of a plea, it felt like a performance. And the cameras, unblinking, caught every second. On August 15th, Chris reported to the police station. Inside the interrogation room, another camera recorded him. He sat stiffly, arms folded, leg bouncing under the table. Detectives approached carefully at first, asking about Shanann, about his marriage, about the days leading up to the disappearance. Chris repeated the same lines. He had no idea where she went. He insisted everything was normal. But investigators had a tool Chris couldn't control, the polygraph. When asked if he would take one, he agreed. Hours later, the examiner leaned across the table. "Chris, this is the moment of truth. If you had anything to do with their disappearance, it's time to be honest." He failed on every question. The footage shows the examiner calmly telling him, "You did not pass the polygraph test." Not even close. Chris stared at the table, his legs shaking violently. Detectives confronted him. "We know you're lying," one said. "This is the time to tell us the truth." Chris asked for his father, Ronnie Watts. When Ronnie entered the room, the camera recorded Chris leaning forward, voice low. "Dad, I messed up." He admitted Shanann was gone. But he tried to twist the truth, claiming Shanann had strangled the girls, and that he killed her in rage. It was a desperate, crumbling lie. But it was also the first crack in his facade. On August 16th, Chris finally led investigators to a remote oil site owned by Anadarko Petroleum, his employer. There, in the silence of the Colorado plains, the horror was revealed. In a shallow grave lay Shanann, still in the clothes she had worn from her trip, her unborn son Nico inside her. Nearby stood 2 towering oil tanks. Inside one, investigators recovered Bella. In the other, Cece. Their small bodies had been forced through 8-inch openings into crude oil. Even seasoned detectives were shaken. Autopsies later confirmed Shanann had been strangled, Bella and Cece smothered. Bella's injuries showed she had fought back, her last moments filled with terror. The cameras at the site captured investigators climbing the ladders, opening the hatches, and confirming what everyone had feared. The motive slowly came into view. Chris had been having an affair with a coworker, Nicole Kessinger. She later told police Chris had portrayed himself as a man trapped in an unhappy marriage, someone preparing to divorce his wife. She admitted she had searched online for wedding dresses and even Googled marrying your mistress. But she insisted she never knew what Chris was capable of. To prosecutors, the motive was chillingly simple. Chris wanted a new life, free of debt, free of responsibility, free of the family he had once vowed to protect. Instead of choosing divorce, he chose annihilation. Experts would later call him what he was, a family annihilator, a man who saw his wife and children not as loved ones, but as obstacles. In November 2018, Chris pleaded guilty to 9 felony counts. 5 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of unlawful termination of a pregnancy, and 3 counts of tampering with a body. The plea deal spared him the death penalty. In court, Shanann's parents, Frank and Sandra Razusek, faced him. Frank's voice broke as he said, "You took away my whole family. I just want to know why." Sandra told the court she forgave him, but her grief was immeasurable. The judge handed down the sentence: 5 life terms without the possibility of parole, plus 84 additional years. Chris was sent to Dodge Correctional Institution in Waupun, Wisconsin, where he remains to this day. In the end, it wasn't Chris Watts's words that told the truth. It was the cameras. The doorbell cam that caught Shanann's last walk home. The neighbor's surveillance that showed Chris loading his truck. The police body cams that revealed his unnatural calm. The interrogation room footage that captured his lies. The courtroom cameras that displayed the devastation of Shanann's family. The security footage caught his every move. And it made sure the world would know the truth. Shanann once looked into her phone camera and told Chris, "I love you. You're my rock." Those words, preserved forever, now echo with haunting weight. The cameras recorded her devotion, and they recorded his betrayal. That is why this case still haunts us. Because we didn't just hear what Chris Watts did. We saw it. The security footage caught his every move. And because of it, the world will never forget the lives of Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and baby Nico. Subscribe for more true crime documentaries as we continue to uncover the stories that remind us how fragile trust can be and how darkness can hide in plain sight.